Yes, we're back, people. Big up to every single one of you. Welcome back to the channel. We're here to talk about the Arsenal and Real Madrid. And I don't know if I'm going to start getting nervous, excited, or a little bit of both, but we're going to talk about it. Judges is with me. He's going to be flying out there tomorrow. I won't be able to do it. I'll be doing a watch along at Box Park. But big up to everyone that's here nice and early. Make sure you do me a favor, hit the like button. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you are part of the community at Lee Judges TV that can get us up to 50K. And Lee, what's your thoughts going into this game? Because I was speaking to Cecil and James today, and as much as we're quietly confident, there's always in the back of my mind thinking they score first, might not be a very pleasant time. So how are you feeling, bro?
Exactly that. You know what I mean? I don't think it's over. I think you'd like to think it is, and 3-0 should be enough. But I was just speaking to someone today, and it was true what he said. It was 3-0 up. Would you have took 2-1 or 1-0? Yeah, you know what I mean? You would do, wouldn't you? So there's no guarantees in that we're going to get through, but we give ourselves a fantastic chance, and I think really if we do the right things, we should be okay. But 3-0 is. I don't say it's like, listen, no one would say no to a 3-0 thing, but I think at the end of the day, the one thing that worries me is how we play it. Do you defend? Do you go attack? Do you whatever? The one thing is that Real Madrid know exactly what they've got to do. We don't really. Well, we do, but we don't. We know we ain't got to concede 3 goals. But as you go about that, that's the problem that we've got. But it's a nice problem, Dan. It's a lovely problem to have. I'd rather be going there 3-0 up than 3-0 down, or 2-1 down, or something like that. So. Listen, we've got to be there. We've got to be brave. We've got to be confident. We've got to, I think, go to Madrid, stick our chests out and say, we're the Arsenal. We can do this, And I think that if we can get past Real Madrid, straight away all the rival fans saying, "Oh, you won't beat PSG. You won't beat them." That's you go out like. Well, they were saying exactly the same thing about Real Madrid. If you can beat Real Madrid home and away over 2 legs, then you've got a great chance of beating anybody in this competition. So, listen, I'm nervous, but I'm ready for it. Come on,
mate. It's going to be a fantastic night. I'm absolutely sure. I was asked this question though, and kind of shouldn't really ask it again, really, by stealing Cecil's thunder. But I thought it was quite an interesting one. Was if he does get through, let's be positive and say we're going to go through. Where does that stand in terms of what he's achieved so far at Arsenal? And I know it's a weird thing to say achieved because it's not like he's won anything with it, but no one gave us a chance against Chelsea and Man City when he won the FA Cup. I think that stands on its own, if I'm honest, because he's won a trophy. But how close would that come to that FA Cup win beating Real Madrid, even if we went out against the next round? Do you think it would stand as a personal kind of individual achievement as one of his best at the club so far, or would he not go that far?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, for me, listen, before he come manager, we'd be dreaming of just getting into nights like getting back into the Champions League. That, now talking about possibly getting to a semi-final. It's a good achievement, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's something to be what's the word? Looking at and going, oh yeah, this is fantastic and everything like that. And
want to go over the top of it, yeah.
Don't go over the top of it. It's good. It's great that we're competing with the best in Europe and going toe to toe with them, like we are in the Premier League, And I think that has to be given a lot of praise for. But I'm sorry, that's what I expect from Arsenal. I expect Arsenal to be challenging for titles. I expect that Arsenal to be challenging for the Champions League, not winning them. That then makes you an unbelievable manager if you can do it. Listen, if Arsenal were to go on and beat Real Madrid and then beat whoever in the semi-final and win this competition, you know all the praise and all the plaudits and all that will rightly come his way because he's done something that no other Arsenal manager's done, But in the meantime, there's other managers who got to semi-finals before and You know, you don't want to go out in the semi-final, Dan. You know, and I don't care what anybody says. If you've played in semi-finals or you're watching the Arsenal semi-finals are never great. You know what I mean? There's a lot at stake. It's just about getting through, and then the final, anything can happen. But listen, I think that too much criticism has come on Mikel, and then I have to say, you have to look at it and go, look, you know, too much praise as well. If I'll be honest, you know what I mean? There's two lines. Don't go over both of them. Is my listen. If he beats Real Madrid, and let's get this honest, you know, he's part of the reason that we beat Real Madrid. The players have some part in that as well. But but he sets up the tactics and all that. If we beat Real Madrid, he will get all the plaudits he deserves and flowers and everything. But there's still another 2 games after that, and you know, there's a lot of pressure on him for this. Like, you know, listen, if he wins this, Dan, if he was to win this, the pressure's off him for the next whatever couple of years. You know what I mean? And I think it would be unbelievable, because I think then the pressure, there will be a little bit more relaxing for the title next season and things like that. You know, and I think more trophies would come our way if we weren't to win this and foul on Wednesday or foul in the semi-final. There's going to be just as much pressure, and I'm sorry if we're in the same position as this last season, not challenging. I'm not going to be saying, oh well, he knocked out Real Madrid last season and we got to the semi-finals or whatever. You know, and he needs another 6-year contract or something like that. I think you've got to be fair and look at it from a rational point of view. I think he's done well, but I don't go into this competition with a lot of confidence, you know, like the 3-0 obviously, like, but if we was to go in the semi-final, say it is PSG, I'd be surprised if the bookies would have us as favourites, you know, and that's where we've got to get to when we're in semi-finals and quarterfinals and we're the favourites, and that means some serious work in the summer to do that. But listen, this is all good experience for him. I do think that he's learned from last season in the Champions League. He still hasn't learned how to cope with the games in between the Champions League, Dan, if I'm being really honest. You know, the Everton game last week, you could look at substitutions and think they were all wrong. The substitutions on Saturday, I didn't really understand. And, you know, if you be really honest about it, his substitutions, it didn't really matter whether we was winning, losing or drawing that game. He was going to bring those substitutes on at that certain point because of minutes and whatever. Because if you was looking at that as just a game, you don't make substitutes straight after you just scored. I still think he's got to learn that. But it's certainly going a lot better. We've had lots of things go against us this season, Dan. Lots and lots of things. So hopefully it'll put us in good stead and all that. But I don't think we should be going too over the balls.
I don't think people should go over the top with it. Like, oh my God, this is the most amazing achievement. But because he's got to go on and win it for that to happen, because it would be an unbelievable achievement if we won it. Just touching on the 2 games you mentioned there, Everton and Brentford. If you had Man United into that, which I know was before the international break, we win those 3 games. We're 6 points behind Liverpool. We've got to play them. That's how crazy it is that we're miles ahead behind them, but we're not. You know what I mean? Because if I said to you, Lee, we've got to beat Everton, we've got to beat Brentford, and we've got to beat Man United, who are 14th, and we're only a few points behind Liverpool, and we've got to go to Anfield, we might have a title race still. We're not talking about, we needed to win those 10 games. Don't need to win 10 games. We needed to win like 4 or 5 more instead of the draws. That's how crazy this is. Like, Liverpool have not flown away with this because they've been outstanding. We've all been really poor. Really poor. You know, like Liverpool have been really good, but we've been poor, if I'm honest with you. Because I look at the teams we've dropped to, Fulham's and Everton couldn't beat them home and away. We haven't been able to beat Brentford again, like at home. We haven't been able to go and do the business at Forest and West Ham and Man United. These teams are all definitely lower than us. You know, well, I never went in those games thinking, wow, this will be 4-0. But I certainly didn't walk away going, yeah, don't think we win any of them. Do you know what I mean? So it's been poor. And you're right to say about, you know, I didn't really care so much at the weekend because I've tapped out, if I'm honest, about the Premier League. However, momentum's key in football, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't really bother me if we go and lose, let's say, or we didn't go and beat Ipswich. Yeah, because it's not after Real Madrid. But I wanted to win against Everton and Brentford because they're the two either side of Real Madrid that will give you that kind of confidence boost. And it's been frustrating, mate. I thought it was poor the goal we conceded. I watched it back.
Yeah.
It's a poor defensive display, really, when you think of it. You know, it's quite easy for Visser and the guys, wasn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, listen, that was the thing that I was more disappointed about. It was the conceding and the goal. But I'm with you, Dan. You know, the frustrating side for me is that, you know, when we've gone for titles and that, no one sort of give us it and dropped off and said, oh, like, we give you points in that. I'm not saying that we've handed Liverpool the title because we haven't. But you know what I'm saying? We haven't put no pressure on Liverpool for this title. You know, as you say, they're struggling to get through results at the moment because they're a little bit jaded and whatever. Imagine if we would have won those few games and put 6 points on them. Like, you know, the desperation now to go into that game. Oh, you know, and all of a sudden, oh, we can't afford to lose to Arsenal. And if they did lose to Arsenal, then only got to drop one more game and it's all over. Like, you know, well, Arsenal should have been a bit more relentless and done a lot better than what they had. But that I don't care that it wasn't Everton and it wasn't Brentford at the weekend. We down tools and give up the title in January when we didn't buy no one and strengthen the squad. And we had the chance to do it, like, you know, that and that's it. Like, so, you know, they've tapped out of it. And to be honest, I have as well, really. And like, I don't blame it. I know a lot of fans on Saturday sold their tickets to fund Madrid and do that to fund PSG, and I understand that, or Aston Villa. I get that, you know. And listen, if Arsenal were to foul against Real Madrid, you know, every single game after that's going to be a real nothing game, you know. Like, you know, even if we beat Real Madrid and go through against Real Madrid, we know what's coming against Ipswich. It's going to be lethargic. It's not going to be a great game. It's not going to be great to watch. You know that, like, but that is what you're going to expect from those sort of games. Crystal Palace on a Wednesday night now, like, you know, if we get through, it's done us a favour, Dan, because it means we've got the weekend off before the Champions League. But yeah, like, how can I say it without being horrible? Like, you know, we got to get through on. We've got to get through on Wednesday. Otherwise, the rest of the games are meaningless. They're just absolutely, you know, the season's done, isn't it? So, you know, you want it to continue for selfish reasons, as well as Arsenal doing well, you know. So, it's a massive game, but you know, we put ourselves in this position, Dan. We've put ourselves in this position. We've just not poor management and all that. You know, listen, I don't think Arteta will come out of this. I think if he sits down and be honest with himself, he's made mistakes this season. That, you know, he's going to have to look at changing the system and whatever in the summer, because we cannot continue the way we are at home against teams in low block and not being able to break them down and end up dropping points after points. It's continued to happen under his reign of dropping points at home against teams that we should be beating. And I look at Liverpool and people go, oh, Liverpool ain't great in that, but they beat those teams. They might not beat them convincingly, but they get the job done. And we've not been able to do that. Is it 8 games? I think someone said the other day that we've been in leading positions and lost.
That's poor.
That is shocking when you look at, and you've got the best defence in the league as well.
What's that? 8 games? What, across the last 2 seasons?
No, this season we've been in front and lost. We have and dropped points and drew.
No way. That's
what I've been told. If you work it out, looking at it, like, you know, I'm thinking straight away. Manchester City comes to mind. Aston Villa at home. Brentford. There's got to be others that I can quite come off from here. Chelsea, Brighton. Yeah, so like there's just off the top of our head, like Liverpool, 2-2.
Everton.
Everton.
God.
So that's a lot of games, Dan. When you think about it, that Fulham.
Even half of them, we'd be up atop the league. Even half of them, we would have won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you look at us, 8 points. You'd be what would be 5 off for Liverpool? Is that 2, 4, 6, 8, 10? Yeah, so half would be 5. So that's 5 wins. That's 10 points. So it'll be 3 points off Liverpool. We've got to go Anfield. That's what I'm saying. This is why we've thrown it away. We've not even been in a title race. Let's have it right. We ain't really ever been in one, have we? We've always been trying to look up, but we haven't actually been on we haven't actually been on top of the table the whole year. Man United have been one more than us.
We haven't deserved it, then. We haven't deserved to win the league this season. Like if that is the case, eight times we've led and we've not gone on to win the game. That is shocking.
Yeah,
that is shocking. And I think it probably is because we've rattled off most of them as we've just been.
Yeah, well, we've just named them all. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so
it's true. And,
it probably is true.
It's been poor.
You can't be doing that, and a few of them have been at home, as you say, like Brighton twice, Villa, Everton, Brentford, Fulham, off the top of my head. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, Brighton. We was 2-1 up against Brighton beginning of the season, weren't we? With Declan Rice.
Twice. Yeah, it's twice now.
Twice against them. Villa, Everton. So that's 2. What's he said there? Brighton twice,
Fulham,
Everton, Brentford 4, 5. As we've said, like
Liverpool
6,
Chelsea
7, Manchester City 8.
Yeah, there you go. That's the 8 then. That is the 8. Christ, crazy, isn't it? That is crazy. Yeah, and that's without the draws to like Everton 0-0 at the Emirates. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. When neither of us were ahead. That was a poor result. That you can't be drawing to Everton at home under Sean Dyche 0-0. That's crazy. That is. But look, let's move to the team news because there's been some kind of updates in the last however long it's been about some of the players that we might be using in our squad or in our starting 11. Jorginho is the first one. Lee, he's out. Jorginho is out of Arsenal's Champions League quarter-final second leg trip to Real Madrid. He's likely to be ruled out for the next few weeks with a chest injury. However, Arsenal hope it's not a season-ending injury. I might as well do the next bit of news, which is Thomas Partey. He's been assessed after suffering a knock against Brentford, but Arsenal are hoping that he'll be fit to face Real Madrid on Wednesday. What do you think early signs are saying with Partey and Jorginho? Obviously, Jorginho being out now. If Partey isn't fit, I think Jorginho probably would have had a chance to play, or maybe he would have gone Rice, Marino, and Ødegaard. But what's your thoughts of this midfield now? Jorginho's out and Partey's a doubt, Lee.
That's the midfield that I'll go for if it is, and then obviously Trossard down the middle would be the obvious choice. But Jorginho, if he's cracked a rib, is what they're saying is that I've had that.
That's horrible. It takes ages to heal. That's horrible. That.
It takes a week of not being able to sleep, move. It is a horrendous injury, and you can't play for 2, 3, 4 weeks. So that would rule him out for probably like towards not the end of the season, but at least 3, 4 weeks. It is a horrendous. I know a player that I know. I won't mention his name. Cracked a rib and he'd never play football again. He said that was the most unbearable thing here. He said, I'm not playing no more. I had to lose a lot of work, got commitments and all things like that. And I understand that, you know what I mean? When I done it, oh my God. I tell you what, I done mine. I think it was 2 seasons ago now. I had to go hospitality. Arsenal after oh my God, I don't know how I've done it then. I don't know how I got through it. I had to meet a couple of people for hospitality. I don't know how I done it. I was in agony all the way through it. You couldn't breathe, couldn't move. It was horrendous. Like for a whole week. And there's no physio can help you out or anything like that. No. Because you just got to make it heal naturally. So he'll be out for at least 3, 4 weeks maybe. And that's a big blow because I think like people go, oh, Jorginho and all that. 10 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, 1-0 up, 0-0 or something like that. You're bringing on the likes of him that's won the Champions League, got the experience just to see you through, So I think Jorginho, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch, is going to be a big loss for us. You know, we won't be over there in Madrid now. Just, you know, those moments when you're in the hotel and, you know, how you go about these sort
Off
of
the
things
field
and all
stuff,
that.
like the experience, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's vital, you know what I mean? Because you show been there, done it. So I think that, you know, that's a massive loss for us. On the pitch, I think we can we're all right with it. If Partey doesn't play, you know, Rice goes into the 8, Marino comes in as a double pivot, and let Odegaard just roam free, like, you know. So that's what I would do. Obviously, like, you know, you want someone's Partey in there, but I would play Declan Rice slightly different in this game. I would be a little bit more cautious and play him as 2 holding midfield players, and see how it goes. And you know, as the game goes on, gradually, you know, push on a little bit. But without that, that's the thing that we can do. I don't think it's too much of a. I think Marino's done very well when he's dropped into midfield in the last few games, Dan. I really do. You know, like 6 weeks ago, I said, "Oh no, I'm not so sure about it," but I think he's done okay. And Trossard is a little bit harsh. He's been left out the last couple of games, so, you know, chance to prove your worth as well and prove the manager wrong. You know, so. But Thomas Partey, he was outstanding the other day against Real Madrid, and I'll tell you what, he played very well at right back as well. So that'll be a big blow, Dan. Big blow.
Yeah, if he's fit, which I've just got a feeling he will be. Normally, when this reported like that, like they're expecting him to be fit, then that is a bonus, because we need him in midfield. And you know, if he does start in midfield, Partey, Rice, and Odegaard, we saw how good that was. Particularly Partey and Rice at the Emirates, it's going to have to be good again. They're saying that Real Madrid might change up their midfield. I'm seeing that Tchouaméni and Dani Ceballos might actually be coming into the midfield with Bellingham. That could be quite interesting with Valverde at right back, and then Garcia at left back, because obviously Alaba got cooked by Saka. So they're actually changing their team up because it obviously didn't work last week. So they're now trying to change it again. So I expect to see a different Madrid, if I'm honest with you, not just personnel wise, but actually as a team and as a unit. Because, you know, look, we got to get the midfield right. I'm with you. I think the Jorginho one's actually a blow. I didn't expect him to start, but if Partey's out, I would have had more confidence with Jorginho coming in. Now, I like obviously Rice in the 6, but he doesn't like Rice in the 6. He wants him in the 8. Now, I think what he should do now, and what he will do now, if Partey isn't fit, he's going to have to play Rice in the 6, ain't he, Lee? Marino. Yeah,
100%. 100%. You know what I mean? Can't do anything else but that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think that it's going to have to be him in there. Like, you know, and you know, Marino. I can't see it other than Marino. Really, I haven't got any. You know, I wouldn't want to put a defender in there.
The only other options, Lewis-Skelly or Zinchenko. They're the only 2 options, really, aren't they? At an 8.
That's an interesting one. Lewis-Skelly going in there.
And Tierney at left back.
And Tierney at left back. I wouldn't mind that, Dan.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either. That's probably what I'd do. And then Marino up top. Then Trossard comes on. That's probably what I would do, to be fair. I did think about Ethan as well and Odegaard. So Ethan in the 8. Sorry, Ethan in the 10, Odegaard in the 8, and Rice in the 6. I did think about that as well. It's potential. But I think that's probably something that would be seen as a little bit more risky because it's proper attack-minded.
I think if it was 0-0 or we was a goal down, I think I'd go with that. But when you're 3-0 up, I think you've got to be a little bit cautious, haven't you?
I agree, yeah. No, you're right. You are right. I did think about it, and then, you know, we were it's just chatting through options, I suppose.
Yeah, I like that one. I like the Lewis-Skelly one in there. I'm not against that. Yeah. Tierney at left back. Tierney done all right at left back the other day.
Yeah, I thought he was all right. I know you said you didn't think he was great, but I thought he done it.
No, I didn't think he was unbelievable, but he done a job. He wasn't cooked or anything like that.
He scored, but it was offside. That was a shame.
Yeah, and it was a good sound performance from him, like, you know. So I wouldn't be against that, Dan. I would not be against that, like, you know.
Yeah, Pete was saying in the chat as well. I did see that, Pete. Big up to you. I did see that in the chat, but there's an option for that, and you know, an opportunity for that. But let's talk quickly about the back line, because there is obviously news on the back line. We rested Timber, obviously. I don't know why he brought him on, but he did bring him on. But that's another story. But Ben White, there's question marks over Ben. Arteta said, we don't know about Ben White. He couldn't be in the condition to be in the squad versus Brentford and be selected, but we've got a few days. We'll have to wait and see. Do you think he can make the squad, Lee?
Yeah, because he done it last time, didn't he? He didn't play against Everton and then was in the squad. And you know, listen, I think you need your best players available. You know, he's not going to start, but if things, you know, like last 10 minutes to go from the end, you've got to bring someone on, you'd bring him on. You know what I mean? He's still a top defender and he can do 10 minutes. He's a bit worried, though, that he's come back from this operation and he's not really fired on any cylinders or really looked like anything, Dan. So I don't really know the problem, what's happening there. I see him the other day in training all taped up the knee and everything like that. That's not a good sign, you know, if you're doing that for training.
Well, what do you think's happening there? Do you think it's just a sign that he's like fatigued a bit? He's played a lot of football. He's come back from his surgery. Like he's had a bit of a strange old season, Ben White. And I feel like we've kind of played him a bit too much. And Tommy Yasu's injury has not allowed, and Timber's injury has not allowed him to have a break. Bit like at the weekend, Partey gets bloody injured because, again, Ben White ain't there. We can't play Timber, so Partey has to play. Now he's got a knock. You know, it's like these players that are injury prone have really cost us this season. I know injuries have cost us in terms of the whole. You look at like Tommy Yasu, he could have given Timber and White a break, but he's not there, you know? Again, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are the sort of Jesus. You know, we've got no striker now because he's out again. You know, we've got to get rid of these players, Lee. You know, we can't rely on these people anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Like Ben White's his first season. He's had a few injuries, and I think like because of he's been overplayed and all that, maybe being rushed back because we haven't got that much cover. I don't know, you know. But you know, like I think what you need to do is get him to the end of the season, and then get him rested. Make sure he has a good rest. The problem is with a lot of these players, they haven't had enough sufficient rest or break going into one season to the next, and he definitely needs to have a break. But he's a bit worrying that he's not come back and then he's not back in. He's not really set the team alight with his performances. And he's also, you have to say, he hasn't really looked sharp and looked match fit in any of those games. So whether in training he's struggling a little bit, then you got to ask the question, well, why bring him back if he wasn't 100% fit? You look at the likes of Saka, he's been out for a very, very long while. He's come back and obviously like his rehab's gone probably a little bit better than Ben's, and it's a bit of a worry for me with Ben really. But you know, I do really, really want him on the bench, and as you say, he would definitely played on Saturday, and that maybe have give Partey the rest, and Partey then would be ready 100% for this game on Wednesday. So yeah, injuries have cost us, and certainly people have done, you know, like knee injuries, of course, they're not the greatest of injuries to have because you don't really know how it's going to go until you start playing on it. I think the same with Tommy Yasu, wasn't it? He was started back in the game and he felt a twinge and he felt it weren't right. And I don't know if that's happened with Ben as well, like, but it's a big blow not to have Ben White available and pushing for a first team place because, you know, and unfortunately, this is what can happen with injuries. You know, I think at the end of the day, for first game of the season, you would say that Ben White was first choice. He's not now. Not now.
Nah.
So it's a difficult one.
It's a good one because look, I like Ben White.
Yeah.
I know you like Ben White, and I like Ben White. Timber's undroppable, mate. It just looks phenomenal, if I'm honest. You know, he really does. And when you lock up Vinny like that, you've got to play him again. Obviously, Lewis-Skelly, I think, deserves this first team place at the moment. You know, I saw a stat today that Kivior and Saliba have gone 9 games unbeaten when they've played together at the back. So fair play. Hopefully that continues. Rare in goal. I think Partey, Rice and Odegaard will play if they're fit. And then I think it will be Saka, Martinelli and Marino. I don't think you can change much. You know, you still got the likes of Trossard that will be in and around the side to come up. But if I'm honest with you, I think there's a great opportunity for us to get into the semi-final. And I was going to ask you, like, we don't want to look too far ahead, obviously, because we've got a massive job to do on Wednesday, right? But we should have one's foot in a semi-final. If things go right for us, people say he's got to win 4 games, which is Wednesday's, PSG's, home and away, and the final. But he ain't got to win 4. He's actually only got to win 2, if you think about it, right? Which is mad to say, you win 2 games, you win the whole thing. Because we don't have to win on Wednesday. We could lose 1-0 and go through, right? Could lose 2-0 and go through, to be fair. Not that I'd want to. PSG, let's say we beat them 2-0. Yeah, we lose 1-0 out there. We've gone through. and we beat Barcelona 2-1. We've actually only won 2 games. We won the whole competition. That's how crazy it is. That's how mad this sounds. So when they say there's a long way to go, there is, but it's getting shorter and shorter by the day. You do your job over in the Bernabeu, and we can talk about how we can get through PSG in the next thing. But do you think that a lot of people are saying that Arsenal were like the weakest out of the 4 if it was to go through Barcelona, Inter Milan, or Bayern, Arsenal, and PSG? Do you agree with that because Gabriel's out? We ain't really got a striker. Do you think that's why people are saying we're the weak? Because you look at on the paper, we ain't got a shocking 11 compared to some of the other teams in there. But would you say we're one of the weakest that get through to the semi-final if that is the case?
No, I believe that we're one of the strongest because you've got to look at what's happening in the competition. You know what I mean? Like Barcelona come second in this competition, we come third in the league stages. You've got to take that into consideration. We played well in the Champions League. We've beaten some good sides in that league competition. Lost only just by a dodgy goal in Italy and against Inter Milan. Got a good draw out against Atalanta, who were the Europa League champions at that moment in time. So I think that the Champions League, the way it's set up, suits us a little bit more. But I think that what you've got to do, Dan, is it's making sure that teams realise that you're good. Now, that result against Real Madrid sends shockwaves around Europe. Well, bloody hell, if they can do that to Real Madrid, they can do it to anybody. What's the next thing now is to go over to Madrid and do a performance where people go, wow, look how they've managed that game and snuffed that out, and look how they've not limited Real Madrid to this and that, and then you think, well, hold on a minute, if they can do that to us, if they can do that to them, they can do that to us. So there's still some football to play in this Real Madrid game. I think that, yeah, we sent out a few little shot, now cement it, get teams to think, wow, look how good they've gone to Real Madrid. Not only did they beat them 3-0, they've gone there and got a draw, or they've gone there and won the game. Look how they picked them off. Look what they've done there. Look what we're going to have to be right on it in that first game. Otherwise, it could be out of it. And then Arsenal, then whoever they get in the semi-finals, got to do exactly the same as what they've done to Real Madrid at home. Make sure the tie is all but over in the first leg. That's what they've got to do. And that's how you get, having the respect of what it's like in Europe. I think that's what I think with Inter Milan as well. People keep saying it's Barcelona. Hold on a minute. Inter Milan's performances have been very, very good. To go to Bayern Munich and win is fantastic, but they've got to do the job now, see it through, and then people will go, oh, yeah, Inter Milan are dark horses. And I think they are dark horses, Dan. But what you've got to do is carry on playing, not scraping through. Listen, it might well be that we scrape through on Wednesday, but that don't send out a great message. What sends out a great message is going there and being a little bit like what PSG did to Liverpool. I mean, no one was really giving PSG any sort of chance of winning the Champions League then. We'd beat them 2-0. They weren't in great shape. And then they went a home game against Liverpool and then were very, very impressive. But then they went to Anfield and were even more impressive. And then people are going, wow, look at PSG. So it's a couple of wins or a couple of performances can do that. Now, I believe if we was to beat Real Madrid, maybe not so much in England because we see Arsenal all the time, but teams in Europe be going, whoa, cool, look how they've done that. So they will enhance our reputation a little bit. That's how I see it. I think we've got to enhance our reputation by going to Real Madrid, not getting lucky, not just hanging on and getting through it, and but being confident in the way we play, the way we set up, and people going, wow, look how they set up, 3-0 up, and they've still been bold, they've been this or they've been that, or how well they've defended. I think those are all things that you should be taking into consideration.
Fair. No, it is fair. Look, I want to get your kind of predictions and stuff and go into some transfer news before we close. I think the first 10, 15 minutes are going to be absolutely madly. I think they're going to do everything they can. They're shutting the roof. They're making it hostile. They've been spoken about how they're going to, be at the referee and the referee's going to play a big part and all this kind of stuff. what would be really key is if we just score in the first 10, 15.
Yeah.
That would be my dream scenario would be 1-0 up, 10 minutes gone, Arsenal 4-0 up on aggregate. But it might not be that way, and they might score Lee, and then it is a little bit squeaky bum time, isn't it? So I think the first 10, 15 are going to be massive.
First 10, 15 minutes are going to be really, really key. And listen, even at half time.
1 second, Lee. We've got a Tottenham fan in here that's giving it.
Ronnie. I'd be a little bit more worried about Frankfurt than Real Madrid game and everything like Ronnie. Come on. Dear, oh dear. Another defeat for you boys at the weekend. 17 there, is it? Do you know someone said a stat today that Pochettino never lost 17 games in all of his time there?
No way.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
It's absolutely mad. I didn't know that, bruv.
So, I don't know if that's true, but 17 defeats in one season. And realistically, that, if it weren't for the 3 teams that come up being so poor, Tottenham would be in a relegation battle now, with West Ham.
And Man United. Quite funny, really.
Yeah, quite funny, really. Yeah. So I think,
yeah, as Ryan says, N17, isn't it? 17 defeats.
Ronnie, come back with that one, you know what I mean? Yes, Poch in 3 seasons, 16 defeats. There you go.
Wow.
Jesus Christ, Ronnie. Engine, that's what I say, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's done a great job.
Mate. It's just who we are, mate.
Done a great job, I think.
Ange ball, you loved Ange ball. Well, keep it going. Yes, I think, even if it's half time at 0-0, I still won't be sitting there confident because, we scored 3 goals in the second half, so it can be done. Real Madrid can score 3 goals. Let's not get that in any shape or form at any stage. So, you would expect us to have enough. On 9 times out of 10, it will be enough, but there's always that one game that it's not done. Barcelona have had it. Do you remember against Liverpool? They've had it.
Yeah.
AC Milan were 3-0 up at half time in the Champions League final. So it's something that Arsenal.
Emery was the worst one, wasn't it? PSG and Barcelona.
Yes.
That was crazy.
Yes. Yeah. So you've got to be wary of it, and the one thing that worries me about these Champions League nights, and it has that momentum, they get 1, the crowd get on them, you know what I mean? And then they get 2, and it's like, it's everything to lose, nothing to gain, you know what I mean? So it's going to be a real tricky one, Arsenal got to go there with be brave, be confident, and the fans have as well, you know what I mean? I know it's hard to say, but we've got to go there and not be nervous as well as supporters. The fans have got to get behind them. This is where it's different for them to us, is that we're going to be right up in the gods, can hardly see anything. It's not going to be great for us where they have it nice and comfy in our arena. So, listen, it's not going to be an easy game. I don't care what anybody says, but no. I think we're just scraped through, Dan. Just scraped through.
What are we saying then? Because I'll give my prediction. I think we'll lose the game, not the tie. So I think we'll lose 2-1, but we'll go through on aggregate. What are you saying?
I'm saying 2-0, 2-1.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It'd be like hanging on for dear life, 2-0. Or it'll be 2-1. Listen, at the end of it, there's going to be a stage of that game, and that's what Arsenal got to do. I know people go, right, keep it to half time, but there's got to be a stage in the game where Real Madrid then have got to take massive risks, and that's when we've got to make sure that we've got the likes of Saka and we've got the likes of Martinelli open, and they can make things happen, So, listen, I honestly think, Dan, if the score is 0-0, 60 minutes gone, Arsenal go and win the game. That's it. But those first 60 minutes are key.
Yeah, I mean, look, we get to half time at 0-0 and I'll be a bit more relaxed. But if it's 1-0 in the first few minutes, I am going to start to panic. And if it's 2-0 at half time it will be the worst half of football I've ever had to sit through in my life, if I'm honest with you. But we'll see, because they can do that to you. Madrid are a top side, so we'll see. Look, let's move to some news, transfer news, and a bit of contract talk as well. The news has come today that Thomas Partey, according to Graham Bailey, he might not actually be getting a new deal, which I think is ludicrous. I think we should be giving him a new deal. But apparently Arsenal have a lot of plans in the summer transfer market and are offering a bumper contract extension to Partey, who would then be considered a squad player, is looking highly unlikely at this stage. So it doesn't look like we're going to be giving him a new contract. I personally would give him a one-year deal. I think Jorginho is the one I'd let go out of the two. But it looks like both of them might go, Lee.
Yeah, it does look like that. I think that, wages is probably going to be a big thing of that. I don't think, when you're 31, 32 going into that and you're trying to get younger legs in there, and if it is true that Zubimendi is coming, then, you look at that and you think, well, Rice is going to be starting, isn't he? Zubimendi and Odegaard would be the three. Thomas Partey would get game time, but he would be not into the game time that he was getting. And then on top of that, 200 grand a week. Yeah, you're going to have to be giving that to someone like half of that to bump up Saliba's contract, Saka's contract. It's as harsh as it is. I do think that's probably what's going to happen. And as a squad player, 250 grand a week is probably too high, Dan, if I'll be really, really honest about it.
Yeah, I will miss Thomas Partey if he goes, because I think he has been really good for us. And I know a lot of people say he's been injury prone. He's a bit of a miss of a signing and all this kind of stuff. But I've just got to be real with you. I personally do believe that he has been a very good signing, because when he has played, he's been outstanding. I mean, we see him against Real Madrid, but in every game that he's played in that holding midfield role, the sixth role, whatever you want to call it, he's been outstanding, bruv. He really has. Yeah. And I'm a huge lover of him. I think he's been great. And he won't be easy to replace, Judge. People talk about Zubimendi coming in, which we'll come on to, I'm sure. Yeah, great. Is he better than Thomas Partey? Some people think he's got potential to be, but I bet he ain't now. I bet he might be one day, but I bet he ain't now, because if you're better than Partey, ain't many in the world that are better than Partey in that position, in that six. Rodri, Busquets, these type of players over the years that I think are kind of clearly better than Partey, but he's kind of the next level down from that, I think, Thomas Partey. I think he's top quality. So it'll be very, very difficult. But there is some positive news on Bukayo Saka, who looks like he's going to get given a 3-year contract. Contract extensions worth 300k a week, making him the club's highest paid player, is what Arsenal are willing to offer. TBR Football can reveal that Andrea Berta is leading talks and would ideally like Saka's new deal to be in place before the summer break. That's from Graham Bailey. We've just got to give him what he wants, Lee, haven't we? Let's be real. Let him sign it.
Yeah, exactly that. Like, I mean? Simple as that. He hasn't cost us anything. He saved the club a hell of a lot of money. And he's one of the best. So when you're one of the best, you've got to be given one of the best contracts, and that goes without saying. And listen, I think that there's still more to come from Saka. I really do, So got to give him what he wants.
100%, absolutely. He's our best player. Let's be real. So we've got to give him what he wants, and I think it's fair play. Look, there's a little bit of transfer news that we'll go through very quickly as we come to a close. Andrea Berta is obviously looking, since we've appointed him, we've been linked with quite a lot of players. Joel Harto has been interested. Arsenal have retained an interest in the Ajax defender, Joel Harto. Liverpool also interested in him. Any potential move is likely to hinge on the future of Jacob Kivior. Harto's age, potential and versatility is huge appeal to Mikel Arteta. He's also been asked on it, and he said the prospect of Arsenal strengthening their defensive options is subject to departures, and the acquisitions of a striker, likely 2 central midfielders, a winger and a backup goalkeeper, are currently of greater priority. There's also suggestions that Berta is looking outside and away from Joan Garcia, who is the goalkeeper as backup, that I think Edu and Arteta were doing quite a lot of groundwork in the summer. Berta's influence on Arsenal's summer transfer business cannot be understated. For instance, Joan Garcia, long viewed within the club as the ideal number 2 to Raya, is one deal that Berta seems keen to reconsider. Obviously, there's been a lot of groundwork done there, Lee, but a goalkeeper and defender, again, they're being spoken about. But I kind of understand why in this sense, because if Neto and Kivior potentially leaving on top of Tierney and Zinchenko, with Tomiyasu injured, we probably do need a backup goalkeeper and a backup defender again.
Yeah, we do. Especially if you say like Kivior goes as well. So it's a must. So sometimes you've got to just regenerate the certain areas of the field of the team. It's not good, like the squad, should I say? You're not necessarily 11. I think we need 3 players to strengthen the 11, and then another 3, maybe 4 squad players. You know what I mean? To just freshen that up, because these players want to play as well. And I think you see enough from Zinchenko on Saturday that he's a good player and could get football elsewhere and deserves it. So as with Tierney, so these guys will be moved on, but you need to bring in adequate replacements, people who are going to step up. And I think Calafiori may be one of them. I think he's on his way back, I believe. So, yeah, I do think that. I think that, listen, the backup goalkeeper isn't that important as you've seen this season. He's hardly been used, I think, one game. So, but if they do buy a proper number 2 with the potential and whatever, he's going to want some sort of game time. So FA Cup, League Cup, maybe a few games in the Champions League as well will be needed. So and probably David Raya would get a rest. I look at that game on Saturday. If you've got a real proper number 2, you'd have played him in that game.
Yeah, 100%. And Neto, let's be real, he was a panic buy at the end because we needed a keeper. Let's just have it right. You know what I mean? I mean, he's played one game against Girona. I don't really want to see him between the sticks again. He was dreadful. So, that's the way I see it as well. I think Harto would be a very good signing. I think, obviously, John Garcia or backup goalkeeper is needed. That's fine. But I think Harto is a real sort of defender I'd like. Evan Ndika is another one we're linked with from Roma, who's been very good. I like him. So that kind of backup would be good. But Zubimendi is the guy that is being spoken about yet again. David Ornstein has come out on The Athletic and said that Arsenal are expecting Zubimendi to arrive in the summer. Internally, they seem to be working on the basis that Zubimendi will be coming in and that they'll be building the team with him in there. Do you think this one's happening then, Lee? I mean, David Ornstein's been quite reliable most of the time, hasn't he? Is there he's got things wrong, trust me. But is that kind of do you think that's happening?
Yeah, I do think that is, like, you know what I mean? So I'm going for that one, like, you know what I mean? I think that they will do that. And that's why there's been no real urgency to re-sign Partey and let Jorginho go because of that reason. They've got something up their sleeve there, and they've got something up their sleeve.
You said on the post earlier 2 midfielders. Obviously, Zubimendi and one more, do you think?
Yeah, I think they go for a young one that's coming through. That's not quite ready yet, but can come into the squad and be a squad player. I do think that. I think there's going to be one starter and one squad player.
Okay, interesting. And then, of course, we got the striker and the winger, which we believe the 2 that we want are Victor Gyökeres and Nico Williams. I don't know how reliable both of those will be, or if they're both. I fancy Victor Gyökeres, if I'm honest.
Yeah, we'll take that. I'm not so sure about Williams, if I'll be honest.
No, me neither. He's not played too well in the games that I've seen him, but maybe I've just had bad luck with it. But he's not been too fantastic. But obviously, Mikel Arteta is a big fan of him. So we'll have to see. But first of all, we've got this game on Wednesday night to look forward to. So yeah, I'm buzzing for it. You'll be out there tomorrow. You're flying out, Lee?
Flying out in the morning, yeah. Looking forward to it. Big game. Couple of days out there. So looking forward to that. And we shall see what happens. I've got all my stuff nearly ready now. I've started packing it all, like, so you ain't got to take a bag these days, ain't you? Like, but you start getting it all together. You're getting the buzz for it, like, So
yeah.
We shall see, and let's hope that we get through, and we can come back on Friday, and we'll be all happy, looking forward to a game against Ipswich, and obviously, like, we know by tomorrow night who we're going to be playing as well. So
yes.
It's that'd be interesting just to watch that tomorrow. We'd like to see where we'll be going, and if we get through, I keep saying, like, wherever, like, so we shall see, like, so yeah, I'm quietly confident, but I'm cautious, Dan. I'm cautious.
Oh, listen, we're all cautious because we know what this team are about. Be playing in the black kit apparently tomorrow, from what I hear.
Oh,
That'll be interesting as well. I think the last time we played was the yellow kit, wasn't it, when we went there last? So this time it'll be the black kit. It won't be the red and red and white. Sorry. I suppose the white shorts clash, I imagine. But there we go. So it'll be the black.
We played in the black kit PSV, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did, and that was quite a good omen. If we score 7, I'll be amazed. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Tomorrow will be a good game. We can sit and relax and watch that one, and then it's the big one. Lee, I'll let you say goodbye to everyone.
Yes, listen, enjoy whatever happens on Wednesday.
There's a super chat. I completely forgot. Femi, I love all Arsenal haters who are counting their chicks before their eggs are hatched and behaving as if Real Madrid's the team that's 3 goals up. By the way, great job at analysis. Big up to you, mate, guys. Keep up the great work. Thank you, mate. Yeah, there's a lot of rival fans. They're all hoping. They're crossing their fingers. They're absolutely hating on us. They want us to bottle it and go out, and it's horrible, mate. But Lee, over to you, mate.
I understand that. And I understand that it's been a painful week for Man United fans. Not only are you seeing Man United and Spurs, not only seeing your own teams be crap, you've got more panic and worry about what other teams have. But listen, we're playing Wednesday night. You're playing Thursday night. It's all on Wednesday. We'll be there watching it. I wonder if you will have a little sneaky look, just in case Arsenal slip up. But if you don't, turn your tellies off early, get a good night's sleep, and worry about the Europa League the next day. Have a good one.